Welcome, welcome. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Courage to Fall. In this podcast, we will explore the robust, messy, and meaningful stories behind growth, grit, and the beauty of falling forward. I'm Tony Fghali, and joining me today is the amazing co-host, Sally. Sally will bring her fire, her heart, and her inquisitive mind, and hopefully we'll be tangoing together, along with our guest for today, Salim. Salim Zwein. Salim, I've met him about a year ago in one of those exhibits, and we had known each other before, but we touched base again. And Salim today is playing several roles, but he's passionate about, I would say, agriculture, agribusiness. I'm going to leave the floor to him to explain what he's passionate about. And we hope that Sally and I would take you on a very interesting journey during this podcast today. So, Sally, please, if you could introduce yourself and then take it from there.
Of course. So, Sally Shamieh. I am a researcher, a consultant, and professor of entrepreneurship and sustainability. And we know a lot about your work in agriculture and sustainable development, Salim. I want to start with you asking you, how would you like to introduce yourself? What would you say about yourself?
Okay, tough question. I don't know. I see myself as the things that I do every day, the things that I love and I'm passionate about. It's just part of who I am. So they are not separate from me as a person. And this has been me all the time since my childhood. It's not something new. People, how they define me, they automatically they can sense that I'm very passionate, that I'm very knowledgeable, that I'm very driven, all these things. I guess it's what makes me who I am. A little bit of love, a little bit of fire, a little bit of intellect.
Nice. I like that. You mentioned passion. What are you passionate about?
Lots of things. Well, but my first passion was since I was a kid. It was science. I was fascinated by science and basically physics, biology, everything that has to do with science. And it's biology that introduced me a little bit to the ecology. I was still in school, and back then, ecology was very marginal kind of a subject. But we had good biology teachers who introduced us to the concept of pollution and all these things. But I remember very well. This is a small anecdote, if I may go through it. So I was. They were talking about planting trees and how trees can clean up the air and they can produce oxygen and all that. So I was completely mono-focused on the idea of planting trees everywhere. Why don't we plant trees everywhere? I recall very well, I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, a little bit, that kind of age. And my father happened to have participated in the Civil War. I will not go into the details, but at some point they wanted to do a memorial to remember the young men and women who fell with them in the battle. So they decided not to do something like a statue or something in concrete. They wanted something that represents who they are and what they stand for. And so they did the first time in Lebanon a forest of cedars for their fallen comrades. I remember when they started doing that forest, the place that they chose was very rocky, very tough to work with. Even they had to use jackhammers at some point to just dig holes and put the cedars there. And I recall very well, it was one of the Azzam guys who were with us, the owners of Pera Azzam, the nursery. And he was saying that, cedars will take a lot of time to grow, etc., etc. I remember I was 6 or 7 years old back then. So I was kind of disappointed, and it's going to take 100 years for the cedar to grow, etc. And one day we didn't go visit the site anymore for a long period of time. I remember I was in my teens, maybe 14, 15, I can't remember exactly. And this one guy who's a friend of my dad who used to visit the site every year, he came home with pictures of the snow. And I tell you, it was for me an eye-opening moment. Every tree was like 15 meters tall, with trunks that you can hug literally, and the branches were so intertwined that you could not walk in some places, and I was like,
Nice.
and I was like completely taken, completely flabbergasted by it. Like, wow, we can do it. We can plant trees. We can make forests. And it became like one of my obsessions since that day that I want to cover Lebanon with trees. Okay, it was a childhood obsession. Anyway, so it's like if my dad and his friends can do it, so everybody can do it. So it's not a big deal. And this is how my passion for the plants started, basically. Also, there is another part that my mother loves greenery and loves beautiful things. So she has always like a very green balcony. And at some point when I decided, it was after I finished my master's in biology, I got accepted in genetic engineering in France, but the acceptance came a little bit late because we had problems back then with the mailing system in Lebanon. So it was 6 months late. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to join Parisis for genetic engineering. Let's try to find something else. I decided to go to back then my second passion, which was agriculture. So and since then, since I started doing going to agriculture school, my mother was like, these plants on the balcony, can you take care of them? Because I'm the engineer right now. And bit by bit, I started, taking care of them. It was something that made me feel like good about, when you're taking care of a plant, when you see it grow and you change the pot and it grows even further. And eventually the balcony at our parents' house became like a small jungle. So that was that back then. And then we had to move to another house that we own, is built upon my grandfather's house. But unfortunately, that house where we moved in didn't have balconies, didn't have the glasses, panes were dark. And so I felt a lot of claustrophobia. And I was passing through a moment in my life where things were not going exactly the way I would like them to be. So it was kind of just hang on kind of an attitude. But it was mom again who just like, so, Salim, I have this basil plant. It's not doing good. I don't know why. Can you fix it? I was like, it needs sunlight, mom. So I used to take that basil plant to the rooftop and sit with my chair, light up a cigarette and put the basil plant and, take care of it every day. Bit by bit, I started expanding and expanding and expanding. And then I have jungle on the rooftop with all kinds of insects coming in. And, especially when the whole idea was, for me, was growing with me. It started first as I'm helping my mother. The second part was like, it's more like a therapy for me. It's the place where I can sit under the stars, where I can breathe, where I can, have my space. And bit by bit, it became like an experiment. So I said, like, what about if I can make this jungle function without even needing any kind of a pesticide? And that was the purpose of my experiment. And what you saw out there on my terrace, it's the same experiment still ongoing. By the way, when I moved here, I had one pickup truck to carry the plants to get them here. And if I ever need to move, I'll need 2 pickup trucks right now. So it started by that idea that if I can do, let's see what I can do about it. I mean, you read it in the books, organic farming, clean farming, no pesticide. But when it comes to the application, it's a totally different setup. And I was like, I want to try it. I want to see what it can do. How far can I go? So I started engineering the whole thing. If you want to, I can explain in the details the train of thought that I went through. But basically, the idea is first, I will use aromatic plants because aromatic plants can defend themselves. And usually they have a little bit of a repellent activity. And use those aromatic plants on the border of the area where I want to plant. So the wind doesn't bring any pests. They just stick on these sturdy kind of plants. So my choice was for the African basil. It's a basil that can grow wild. It can be up to 2 meters high. And inside, I started doing like other aromatic plants, other non-aromatic plants. And bit by bit, I started tackling with edible plants. The first problem, if you go through my Instagram, you see lots of pictures where I took the insects that come and visit my place. So at some point, I remember I was like planting these pepper, like sweet pepper kind of, I think they are paprikas. I'm not sure. I need to research it more because some friend gave me these seeds. He told me they look like hot peppers, but are sweet peppers. I'm like, okay. So I had like 6-7 plants of them. And one day I go up and I see like aphids on these plants. And I said, crap, I need to use pesticide now. Maybe I will clean them by hand. So I was like, okay, I'll try to clean them by hand. And while I was cleaning, and I just noticed that they had two ladybugs on the plants, not the variety that is spotted, another variety. And I was like, oh, wow, let's observe it. And I went through like, for 1 week, I was observing them. They practically cleaned up the aphids on the plants completely. And I pride myself that to this day, I never used one ounce of pesticide on my or fungicides on my plants. They just like function all by themselves. So that was the start.
Salim, this is very interesting. You already got me engaged. I'm sure you got Sally engaged. Can you take me back to the wow moment of when you saw those trees? Why was it a wow moment for you?
It's because I wasn't expecting to see that. The place where they were planted, if you go, we used to go, have activities there in summer. You couldn't stand under the summer sun up there. It was such a very harsh, very rugged kind of an environment where you wouldn't imagine anything could grow. Like absolutely, and during the summer, it's hell on earth. It's not comfortable. And then suddenly, I disappeared for 10 years and suddenly you see like, it's becoming a jungle. It's like, it's alive. It's powerful. It has this, like, it's something that I think like some magic that existed there and suddenly is waking up. And they just woke up just because they dug into the earth and they just planted these trees. And I was like, wow, what can we do if we expand that experiment? How the face of Lebanon would change, or how the face of the world would change if we do this. So till this day, I am a firm believer in afforestation or reforestation, because some experts when we have forest fires in Lebanon, they go like, no, don't replant trees, leave nature, it will do it all by itself. Yeah, they might have a point there, because nature can fix itself by itself eventually. But the problem that we have in Lebanon, in the world, but especially in Lebanon, is that there are too many people on this land. The nature does not breathe. We don't allow it any kind of a breathing moment or ability to repair itself without being touched. We always have our fingers in nature all the time. So what about, instead of being a destructive factor, what about if we can be a constructive factor in it? So this is why I am a firm believer that nature, if nature is our own environment at the end, it's where we evolve, it's where we survive. All the studies in the world, they just tell you how much, for example, the smell of petrichor is we're sensitive to the smell of petrichor, and how walking in the woods alleviate depression and reduces ADHD, and all these things that make us much healthier. And I was like, this is our environment. We need to build it the same way we build our houses, the same way we build our roads, the same way we build anything around us that makes us comfortable. The forests right now are not like the forest in the Stone Age. You don't encounter the big cave bear or the saber tooth. It's a more of a these are more of gardens, and this is what we should look at nature right now in our time. We are the gardeners of the earth. We are the people who take care of it because it's part of what we need.
You go ahead, Sally.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to go back to the experiment. You did the experiment worked, amazing. How did you feel about it? What did you prove? What were you trying to prove to whom?
I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I just wanted to understand exactly how it worked. Because learning it in the books is something, especially when almost all the books that talk about, pesticide-free or organic farming are still on the experimental level.
Mm.
So you don't have a recipe. And this is a problem for farmers, because farmers, they don't want to take risks, and you can't allow them to take risks because their livelihood depends on it. So I was like, what can I do in practice that I can manage as a person all by myself and still avoid using all these pesticides. So what are the approaches? And I believe it's a holistic approach that has several steps that are very, very, very clear in the approach of how you deal with it. It's not just like, don't use pesticide, or not just like, if it's just spray them with soap. I don't even need to spray with soap. Not even that. Or for example, just because, whatever insect comes at the plants, just leave it in, and it's organic. No, we can have good production while doing so many other steps, and it all starts with our understanding of the land that we stand on and its environment, because these two will play with us or against us depending on how we engineer it. Suddenly dawned upon me that farming is not about just tilling the land, planting and harvesting. That's not farming. Farming is and till this day, when I go to train farmers up in the north on good agricultural practices, which I do regularly right now till the end of the year, the first thing I tell them is like, when you approach a land, you need to know how to read the land. Reading the land, this is it's a magical kind of a word, but it's not.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
Tell us more. What do you mean, read the land?
So, for example, you are on a land. You from the grasses, you can understand if this land has water, a lot of water, or a little of water. You can automatically understand from the height of the grasses if the subsoil is thick or thin, if there is a rock underneath or not. You stand in the land, you can automatically know where the sun hits most of the time, because this plays with or against you. If you are standing on the land, you can understand where the wind blows, because you need to protect your land from wind, or you need to aerate sometimes your land. It depends what you want to do with it. As our teachers used to tell us back in agriculture school, that says the agriculture is a science and an art. While they can explain very well the science part, it's the art part that they cannot explain, because unfortunately in Lebanon, I don't know if there is no budget for research to do these things, or they don't have time or the luxury to do it. When you want to experiment, you need to have the luxury to be able to fail. There you go. Going back to your subject. So you need to have the luxury to be able to fail in order to discover something new. And this, unfortunately, in Lebanon, is not something that everybody can afford. I had the chance to have this rooftop all by myself, and eventually I moved to this apartment here just because I have a large rooftop. This was my condition. Before me, I need the place for my plants. So in this kind of an experiment, you just you understand the art of it, and based on that, you can explain and you can help the farmers.
So if I understand you correctly, Abarf, I'm trying to extract what you're trying to say. There's the theme of no pesticide, if possible, to understand the farm and read the land. 3, make a living. And as you experiment, whether you can afford to fall or fail or...
Absolutely.
And what I understand also is that you have had the luxury of experimenting, and you are able to produce, right? Or you are able to produce results. Now, my question for you is, so what? So you're able to produce results. Is it scalable? Is it doable? Is there a wow factor?
Okay.
Can you export this to beyond the north of Lebanon or the south of Lebanon, to other parts of the Levant? I'm throwing at you stuff to see. By the way, between parentheses, you've done the Courage to Fall assessment tool, and you turned out to be a strategist. So I'm talking to you from one strategist to another, let's say, on how you approach this. So what's really the issue? What's the challenge?
Salim, before you answer, I'd like to add to what Tony said, that this sums it up beautifully. So the experiment worked. Now what? What do you do with it? And obviously, you have the artistry. We're talking about how agriculture is an art as well. So you are an artist in this, obviously.
Thank you.
How No need for thanks, and that's beautiful. And your story of how you evolved and how you became, you evolved into this artist, how you gathered this هدول nuances, the little details, the sensitivity to the land and to the farmers handling this land. How scalable is this? What do you do with this experiment? How do you take it further?
Okay, one of the many reasons I did this experiment was because I wanted to see if it works first, if we can do it. The second reason was most of these experiments usually are done in European countries, so they are based on European weather patterns and European nature and European environment. The difference is in Lebanon, it's more Mediterranean, so we have harsher summers and more, let's say, torrential rain in winter. But at the same time, we have something else, which is Lebanon is one of the 5 or 6 areas in the world that has such a high density of species per square meter, no matter what kinds of species you are counting, plants or insects or animals.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
This is why in antiquity we had even more. You could see in antiquity we had animals that are from African origins and other animals from European origins at the same time living on the same territory. But right now, okay, the large animals, the large mammals, we don't see them anymore. But what we see is like insects and plants. It's amazing, and it's a very peculiar kind of an environment to test these things because you have so many variables. The way nature reacts to you is different than the way it reacts in Europe. In Europe, you might have like 5 or 6 different species per square meter. Here you can have up to 20 or 30 per square meter. So the interaction and the results of it, I expected it to be much faster than what can happen in Europe. Okay, I expected it to be much faster because you have more species, you have more animals, you have more insects, you have more plants, you have more interaction, you have more things to do. Of course, what to do with that? The first thing is I need to expand this experiment. I definitely need to expand it. We already acquired a lease on a land in Shikha where we're going to start doing some experiments on that regard. I hope.
Who are we? Who is we?
Izra'a.
Who is Izra'a for the people who are watching us or listening to us now?
So Izra'a is a story that was also born out of passion. You want me to tell you the story of Izra'a?
We want to hear it.
Of course we do, and then we're gonna go back to the challenge.
Okay.
You tell us your challenge today.
The challenge and what we can do to move forward in that experiment. Okay, so going back to Izra'a, I remember well. Okay, I'll tell you the full story because it's funny. We were, me and my friend Nicolas. He's a little bit of a geek like me, so we were getting drunk one night at his place and watching this documentary that contains a lot of information that we know about, but the guy just smashed it in together. And it was about, documentary was called Gone 2030. It's about how the oil resources will deplete. Eventually, starting 2030, you see the peak of production, and afterwards it will drop down. Based on scientific research, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's something real. And because we were very drunk and whatever, so we were discussing lots of stuff.
Everywhere. So you were what? You were having fun, right?
So we went through that trip of imagining the world. I mean, after oil and global warming and the development of AI. I remember it was 2017. Nobody used to hear about AI at that time, but since we are a bunch of nerds, so we were discussing the Armageddon, the end of the world. And what will happen after the end of the world? Who will survive after that? Like logical scenarios. So I would go through that another time. It's a different story. But anyway, because of this,
Stick to Izra'a with me.
I'm gonna get to it. So I came up with the idea. It's like, you know what, Nicola? It's only villages who can be self-sustainable on the long run are the ones who can survive the coming catastrophes in the century to come, because we were seeing it like that. And we want to do it, but we don't want to do it the hippie way. It's not like, nature and tree hugging. We don't have this approach. Our approach is more scientific. Like, okay, if you have this method, let's try it. If it works, we apply it. Okay, so this is the idea. And we founded the NGO under which Izra'a is operating right now. It's called Elysium. Okay. So Elysium was founded in 2018. It was October. We got the Ilm Khabar. It was on my birthday, October 18.
October 18, your birthday. Remember that, Sally.
October 18 is
What
another
kind of
date.
cake?
Yani, we
What's
wish
your
you all the very
favorite kind
best.
of cake? What's your favorite kind of cake?
So anyway, so we started the first having discussions with the municipality of Tannourine. The whole purpose was to try to start building something in the Jird that might become a nucleus for an experimental village where all the experiments that we do there will be extrapolated to be executed in Tannourine. So this was the first idea that we had in mind. So we had like lots of talks and trying to get some research from Icarda, some research from Iral, Lari, some research from other labs in Lebanon, and see what we can apply and not apply, what we can start with. And suddenly the crisis hit. Okay, so when the crisis hit and everybody was just like so scared. And I was like, I remember I had this, the Ministry of Agriculture distributes like wheat seeds every year, durum. And anyway, I reposted it because people are afraid. It's like, if you need the help, technical help with that, I can help you, tell you what to do in order to plant these seeds. And it went viral. And because it went viral, I went to my friends and said like, guys, we are all agriculture engineers. We are all scientists. We are all a bunch of nerds. Let's start to do something to help these people. So we had 3 meetings prior to launching the group, and eventually we decided on the name. It's gonna be Izra'a, imperative, like to push people to go and do it. And the logo was done by a lovely lady, and it was a beautiful logo. I loved it. So we launched on January 2020. I believe it was the 6th of January 2020, and we started inviting people over. The whole purpose of the group was just we need to get farmers to talk to each other, and we need to talk to them. So this was the idea. But because it was crisis and COVID and all that thing, in a matter, I remember what Raymond Nahra, I believe in 1 week we'll become 1,000 members. I told him we were on a Thursday. I said, Raymond, wait till Sunday. On Sunday we were 5,000 on the group. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was
wow.
it was growing like crazy.
What drove them? What was the value proposition?
Many things, Tony. Many things. The first thing is we are offering a solution for people to survive. Okay, so we are helping farmers in a under crisis. You understand that 70% of farmers in Lebanon have small farms, like less than 10,000 square meters. So these are basically self-sustainability kind of farms, not commercial farms. And most of them used to have another job before the crisis. So when the crisis hit, they just had only this land, and they need to take care of it properly, not in an amateurish way like they used to do before. So that was the first reason. The second reason was people were sitting at home and getting bored. So having a plant or taking care of a plant was like a little bit of a therapy for them. The third reason was we forbade anybody to have any kind of a discussion that has to do with politics, with religion, with or any subject like that has nothing to do with agriculture. And we also were very strict upon bullying. Bullies were automatically kicked out, no matter what. It's something that we don't joke about it. Because of this environment, we started getting lots of feedback from people, and each time when I remember these feedback, I have goosebumps. Like people telling us, you're the only group in Lebanon that just joined us all together. You're the only group in Lebanon that we like to be in. You're the only part of the internet that we find pleasure to participate with. All these things. I mean, even some people just came and tell me, Salim, it's because of Izra'a. Right now, I know where to buy my seedlings instead of buying them from, for example, he lives in Junieh. Instead of buying them in Junieh, I'm buying them from the south. It's 3 times cheaper. And right now he has a relationship with a farmer in the south. You know what I mean? This is
Great.
we created
Great.
an environment where people can connect in a safe way, in a polite way, in a civil way, and at the same time they feel they are doing something. They are growing. They are advancing. And when they started posting about stuff they want to sell, we had also a policy that only small producers are allowed to sell. Large companies are not allowed to put ads on the Facebook group. So this is what drove people in and still driving people in. We are around 200,000 members right now on Izra'a. So
Mallah, Ali, I don't know if you're aligned with me. I want to try and identify the biggest project today you're working on. Like you're active in so many places. The one big thing, I'm not going to say that you're losing sleep over, but the biggest challenge today that you have not solved yet, what is it? If you were to point it out, the biggest one.
there are lots of big ones, but right now what I have at hands that I'm working on very, very actively is the application. We had in mind to design this agricultural app from day one. For simple reason, because although there are lots of agricultural engineers in the country, the access to agricultural engineers by small farmers is practically not impossible, but very hard. The small farmers cannot afford to pay for an agricultural engineer, and they lack a lot of expertise when it comes to agricultural practices. Even to this day, after lots of training that lots of organizations did for farmers, every time I go and I visit a farmer, it's like, and I see what they are doing, it's like, why are you doing this? Why don't you change your habits? Changing habits takes time. So yeah. So we wanted to do this application to make things easier for the farmer, easier to get to the answer, especially because we cannot answer everybody all the time. We designed it. We did the first iteration first. It was not with the agritech program. It was in the middle of the crisis and the electricity started shutting down. So we couldn't complete the development. We did an iteration of the marketplace with Swiss Contact also that has some flows with the programming, so we didn't launch that either. And until Basatine, the Basatine project, which is a project financed by the French AFD, and it was a consortium between 5 NGOs, if I recall very well. So Beritech was one of them, and it was a consultant at Beritech who picked us up, and he said, like, I believe you are the guys who can do it. It's like, okay. They took their time to start the project. It should have started like 3 years ago, but it started like last year. But that's fine. And we finished it and we launched the app, and the Ministry of Agriculture approached us asking us to become the official agri-consulting app of the nation. And we're still in the process of organizing things with the ministry. Till this day, we still are doing stuff to organize stuff and to improve on it. So right now, the application is taking most of my time. The first part is onboarding farmers and onboarding producers on the marketplace. And the second part is improving the UI and the UX of the app, so it becomes more flexible and more interesting. It's gonna take some time to mature on this level, but it's growing, which I'm happy with. We're gonna have another iteration of development next year. I will talk about them in January, not today, so I don't ruin the surprise.
Jinx it.
So basically.
So the app.
Yes, the app is taking most of my time right now, but it's not the only thing, and it's not the most important thing. If I want to set it that way, but it's taking most of my time right now. Yes.
Why is it taking so much time?
Well, because the funding was good, was excellent, and the support was excellent. But the problem is, like most of the funding. Opportunities that we had in Lebanon in the past 10 years, they are pushed only for a certain period of time. While you're living in an environment in Lebanon where entrepreneurial is very tough, especially now, it's extremely tough, and you need to have a certain operational budget for a certain period in order to make sure, because Tony, everything that I succeeded in doing in this country, absolutely everything I succeeded in doing, happened because I'm extremely patient. Okay,
That's very good.
Which is not the attitude But this is not the attitude that usually you see in entrepreneurs, for example, in Europe or in the United States or in the West world or wherever, or even in the Arab world. But here in Lebanon, it's just like, just breathe in, breathe out. It's gonna happen in one day. So breathe in, breathe out. Take your time. Yes, you're gonna have lots of hurdles around and lots of problems to overcome, and you need to go through all these things. And I tell you very honestly, it's really tough. It's really tough if you don't have like a proper financial backing, whether from organizations or from your parents. I don't know. I don't envy people who start being entrepreneur in Lebanon. It's a very, very harsh environment for entrepreneurship.
Let me assume money is no issue.
Yeah.
Okay? Assume funding is no issue. Why is it taking so much time, that app?
If money was not...
Which I understand is a marketplace between the agriculture engineers and the small farmers. Plus other things, I'm sure. Plus other things.
Yeah, you have two points.
But big picture, strategists, work with me as a strategist now. What's really the issue?
Okay, there are two parts of the app, as I explained to you. There's the marketplace, where producers can put their stuff to sell, and there is the agri-consulting part that teaches farmers how to farm. In both cases, why I tell you that the money is the issue. There is no other issue because one, you need more staff to work on an app like that. Such an app needs lots of maintenance. I'm sorry if I'm talking numbers, but just to give you an idea.
Don't be sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, you need annually maintenance, cybersecurity, server hosting, and other little trinkets that will go up to $20,000 a year. Just that. You still haven't started doing anything. You need people in the back end to be always available and always in support. You need people in the on the front end. Talking to farmers to take always feedback, and developers and programmers to improve on the program that you have at hand. All these things already to set up, they take time. It's not something that you can do like that, especially in the Lebanese environment. Two, it needs money. You need to pay salaries, and there is a huge amount of cash burn when you start. That cannot be mitigated just by saying, okay, I will go to the market. I mean, if you look at the economic growth in Lebanon right now, it's abysmal. It's really abysmal. They were expecting 1% of growth. They barely achieved half percent of growth this year. That's not growth. That's stagnation. That's not development. You don't have a banking system that can support you. If you need to have a loan for a certain period of time, banks don't give loans anymore. And even when banks were doing good before the crisis, our loaning system in Lebanon is completely skewed because they are very conservative in the way they invest in loans. They are more interested in making their money through stock market and currency exchange and all those shenanigans or the Ponzi schemes. I don't know, instead of investing in the development in the country, which are basically.
So what are you doing? What are you doing about it?
Right now, I'm doing what I can do. So, for example, me and a couple of people around me with us organization, we're working together. We're giving as much as we can of our time into the app to make it work. It's taking time, naturally, because not everybody can give you all his or her time. So they believe in the project. They believe it can in the potential of it, but it's gonna take time because. If I want to have an operational budget for such an application, I need something like $100,000 a year in operation expenses only. That's just to say.
You get them.
Salim, let me ask you a different question. You have all the elements in entrepreneurship that we teach and that we practice. You have the opportunity, there's the need, there's the gap. Everything is there. Suppose you have the startup capital. You have enough money to launch the app. What is the business model later on? How would this app or the project itself remain financially sustainable? How would you monetize your experience and your expertise and your artistry? How do you live out of that?
Okay, it's very simple. We started with the first monetization plan was, and it's still going. Right now, we're onboarding producers. We're gonna do not kind of the middleman. We're gonna do the intermediary between the producer and the market directly. Some people tell me, but yeah, they can sell automatically in the سوق الخضرة. Sorry, we did our research. سوق الخضرة nominally they take 10% overhead, but practically speaking, they take up to 60. Why? Because they can, if the farmer gives them his produce, they can tell them like half of it just went bad and they had to throw it. What's the evidence that they have to provide that really went bad and he couldn't sell it? Or for example, they tax them on the weight of the crates and stuff like that. Lots of schemes and shenanigans that they do in order to eat up the farmers' share. So the marketplace will be providing this. As a start, we wanted to tackle the fresh first, but we stopped, because if we want to tackle the fresh, it's a totally different strategy that we realized while we were developing. And we're going to launch that soon. I'm not going to talk about it because it's something very, very important and unique. But so for the time being, we're focusing on the preserves. So we were talking about Mune and all that sorts of things, because we have a dark store in Beirut right now, Ain Rumene, and we're onboarding right now. I think we are around 100 producers onboarding now. We should get them online very soon. So there is that. We'll have there are onboarding fees that we can take from them. Basically, it's related to the maintenance and all that thing, but also some like 10 to 20% on the sales transaction. By making if you want Mune available, and not just Mune. Some producers do like very, very unique kind of products that come in the agricultural value chain, like for example essential oils, or I don't know, some sort of a novel way of doing murabba, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So we want to link directly the small original producer to the powerful consumer, and this way we basically, according to our calculation, we can provide us with more than enough to sustain ourselves. So this is one part. The other part I told you about the fresh, that we're gonna do it later on, and I'm not gonna talk about it. The third part is probably advertising. What we have encountered when we started, we wanted to have input suppliers on the app, so that the farmer automatically can go and buy his inputs from a reliable source and all that thing. The problem that we face is that most farmers, they buy their inputs by credit. Okay, so they take the inputs and they pay at the end of the season. And this is okay for small input suppliers of the village who can, or worse, when it comes to the big traders, they give the loan to the farmer. They become like loan sharks at the same time.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have a mechanism that can allow farmers to take small loans in a safe way, we cannot onboard the input suppliers. This is why I tell you that the environment is tough, because banks should do that role, which are not. They are
something like this. You need to partner with a microfinance institution.
Absolutely. We were still looking around for microfinance institutions who would be interested into pitching in the project. First, let's in a week we launch the market.
That's a discussion for another day. Yeah, definitely. Tony, take it up.
Let me ask a question. Have you thought about your model and the challenges? Obviously, a lot of your challenges are very country specific. When you move your model from where you launched it to another environment, have you explored other environments to see maybe it's easier, maybe it's tougher? Have you looked into that?
Very honestly, Tony, a lot of people were like encouraging us to explore the Arab world. There are some experiments that have been done in the Arab world that are very successful, and they look like our experiment. Like, for example, in Egypt, there is this app, I forgot their name, but I had a discussion with them, where they do this microfinance for farmers to provide them with the inputs, and it's working perfectly well. Okay, perfectly.
Okay. Okay.
They started with the same idea that we had. They wanted to have a marketplace, and then they discovered that the farmers do this kind of a transaction. So they partnered up with a couple of banks, and they started doing it automatically. It's working perfectly for them. What I want to do is basically emulate the same model. I cannot go in Egypt and compete with them. So it will be a little bit stupid given they already are well established. In Iraq, for example, there is potential in Iraq, but I still need to. I don't understand the environment well in Iraq. Might be also there is also potential in Morocco, Tunisia. Syria is far a little bit because it needs a lot of reconstruction. The Gulf is basically self-sustaining on so many levels. So it's not our environment to play in. Usually in the Gulf you have the bigger companies like Bayer and other stuff who would sell these electronic solutions for the government. So I believe I want to first make sure that I have 1 year of operation that is working properly well here. First, because we can learn. Second, because making mistakes here is less punishing. Third, because so we can have a proof of concept. If we want to grow, want to attract.
You want to scale?
You have one.
Yeah,
I think you have one.
Yeah, but I mean financial proof of concept. Like make it sure that it is working. It can sustain itself and can grow.
So besides funding, can you enumerate what are the blockages to the success of your platform?
Okay, there are, besides the funding, there are some very, as I told you already, the mere fact that the financial environment in Lebanon is not very conducive to make
check.
Okay.
Check.
You have another issue that is also peaking around is the climate. The last couple of years we had very little rainfall, and this will affect huge the agricultural output. In the northern Bekaa we had like a rainfall that is closer to Saudi Arabia than what is usually known in Lebanon. And if this trend continues, we're going to have catastrophes. And no matter how much counseling or advice you give on the app, it become all of a sudden completely obsolete because the change is going much faster than the rate at which we can respond to. Despite the fact that we have integrated in our program a system that takes into consideration the actual climate, not the seasons as they are fixed originally. But still, it's a challenge. We have a plan to develop something to improve our weather prediction ability by getting some 20 micro weather stations that will give us a more precise weather prediction on the Lebanese territory than the ones that we buy directly from satellite. So there is that.
Climate, money.
You're talking about also there is the problem of computer literacy to a certain degree. Although this problem was kind of an issue first, but when we went into contact with the farmers, we discovered that no, they know are more computer literate than we imagined them to be. Okay,
that's good.
Yeah, much more than what we imagined them to be. But I believe on this level we need to improve on our UI UX to make it more gamified, more fun to use, because this is something that attracts them, even if they are usually the average age is 60 years old among local farmers in Lebanon. So even though that this like you need to have them having fun with the app more than just filling in stuff.
Does the app have a name? The app have a name?
It's Izra'a.
Izra'a. And listen, we're almost reaching the close of our conversation. Hey, Kate, what's your not utopic situation, but what's your ideal situation? What would be, wow, you'll breathe better, you'll feel better. Give me walk me through a day or a minute in the life of Salim where everything is going well. Where is the end game?
The problem, Tony, is when I always finish something, I always start something new. And
let's talk about this phase, this phase. The problem that we are
I will be breathing when I set up, when the operation starts working without needing my daily intervention. That's it. This is the moment I start breathing and start thinking of something else. Okay.
Okay. يعني so you have farmers who are selling their produce or selling their money. You have the consultants who are helping the farmers, and the app Izra'a is self-sustaining,
Absolutely.
right? It's sustainable. And then you will breathe, and you walk up to that forest and hug the cedars again,
Absolutely.
and breathe better.
Most probably, you'll see me jumping to another project because this is me. I like to start things.
No. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Sally, what would you like to, if you were to conclude before I give the floor to Salim again, or ask a final question or something?
To pick up on what you were asking, Tony, and I asked you at the beginning, what's your passion? What drives you? What I would still ask this question at the end of all of this conversation and the journey you walked us through from planting the cedar forest all the way to the Izra'a. What passion wakes you up in the morning? Why? Not because you have to take care of things. The first thing, like, what are we going to do today?
Actually, I used to say it all the time. Okay. I'm not a believer when it comes to religious beliefs. So it's something that happens when I realized it when I was 10 years old. So I was always asking myself, what wakes me up in the morning? It's just like, since I was 10 years old, I just like put in my head, you know what? This is the life. And I want to make it epic, beautifully, better than what it is, because this is the life. And I want to make all my energy to make, not, my happiness does not come from what I have. My happiness comes from when I see my friends or people around me are happy. My happiness comes from when I see my community happy, the people around me happy, the nation is happy, the world is happy, you know? And it's something that I deeply believe in. This is what wakes me up in the morning, like go and do and make people, you know, make them happy in a way, in the only way that I can understand how to make them happy. I'm not a good guy of, you know, sitting down and having a cup of tea or, you know, joking around. I'm a little bit of an introvert on that sense, but it's like, if I can solve your problem, let me solve it. You know what I mean? If I can help you up to stand on your feet, let me do that. Most often than not, my friends just like joke about it. It's like when I'm walking in nature and for example, I see, let's say, a bird or an animal or something. It's like I take photos of them, or I take care of an animal that needs help, or I stop in the middle of the road and I help somebody. It's like, why are you doing all this? It's just like, man, it makes me happy. It's not because, like, you know, somebody told me to do this. It just makes me happy. When I see smiles on other people's faces, I'm happy. I'm fine. And this is what, if you want to, I don't know if I explained it quite well. It's the core of my motivation.
Very well, very well. And this is why you will never run out of challenges and out of missions. When you finish one project, the other one will be waiting just around the corner.
Absolutely, I know that.
Wow. On that note, Salim, on behalf of Sally and I, thank you very, very much for giving us the time. This has been inspirational. Thank you for your courage. It shows. It shows. And let me close by saying, may you always be happy.
Thank you. You too, Tony and Sally. And thank you, guys. It was a real pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Nice.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. I'm going to, for everyone else listening, see you next time on the Courage to Fall podcast.